more about the fundamentals of art. Today we are going to talk about the contents of Unit 3, which consists of the study of form, perspective, proportion and composition process, in which we have 2 lessons. In Lesson 5, we will learn about the perspective and proportion. In Lesson 6, we will learn about the compositional process. Objective. After going through this lesson, you will be able to understand the meaning of perspective and its importance in art. Kinds of perspective, basic perspective drawing techniques, a study of basic forms through perspectives, the meaning of proportion and its importance in art, and methods of proportion. Introduction. The purpose of this class is to state favor for learning the basic principle of perspective and proportion and their use in work of art. As we know that the artist starts with a 2-dimensional surface. It may be wall, canvas, a board or a paper. By the use of paint or other media, he must make the viewer to enter his world and share his vision. But the actual world isn't 2-dimensional and the artist can't create a 3-dimensional world on the 2-dimensional flat surface. How to solve this problem? The answer is through perspective. He can represent the 3-dimensional world on the 2-dimensional flat surface to create the illusion of reality. But before going further, we should know the literal meaning of word perspective. What is perspective? The word perspective means to look forward in Latin. The art which enable us by fixed rules to represent truly on the plane surface that appears to the eye, side, in every variety of form and distance, which is done by imaginary lines and travelling such planes and arranging the shapes and positions of every object with regard to the point of eyesight determined above. This can be seen in this drawing of a chair shown in perspective. This can be seen in this drawing of a chair which is shown in a perspective. We can say that perspective drawing in art consider that object appears to get smaller as they recede into the background, which can be seen in another example. When we draw lines like this gives an illusion of distance. In fact, here we are using the basic perspective rule. To a viewer, an object actually shrinks by half a size each time the distance it is doubled. In a nutshell, we can say that perspective in visual is a way in which object appears to eye, and it is based on the viewer position in relation to the object. Linear perspective. In this method, object diminish as a visual illusion. That object becomes smaller as it recedes into the space, as all these parallel lines meet at a vanishing point and form overlap when they are in the same visual path. This can be seen in the drawing of this in a linear perspective. It is a great way to create a 3-dimensional drawing because it produces the way we see. Even through perspective drawings seem confusing at first, but the principles are very straightforward. Here, the example below show a box in both 1 and 2 1 and 2 perspective points, in which in 1 point perspective point in which it has only one vanishing point. In 2 point perspective drawing, line converges towards a 2 vanishing points. Therefore, a perspective drawing of the same object will be different depending on the position of the eye or horizon. Overlapping means drawing one object in front of other so that the front object hides parts of the another in back. By rearranging, overlapping can be established. An illusion of depth or movement and space can be created, which can be seen in this drawing. Modeling. The principle of modeling, adding light and texture, shading or shadowing, shown to a drawing, brings out its three-dimensional quality, which can be seen in this drawing. A study of basic form through perspective. Now, we are going to learn to draw a circle in a perspective. A circle in a perspective is called as ellipse. The drawing of ellipse is controlled by a rectangular perspective, which can be seen in the figure 1, in which the circle is first visualized in a plane on a flat square grid. Our drawing above shows an ellipse, which shows its technique. Figure 2. The square grid is now distorted according to the law of perspective. Now the circle is redrawn into the distorted grid to create a form of ellipse. Kinds of perspective. In this session of the lesson, we are going to discuss about the kind of perspective and its importance in art. Historical background. System of perspective can be seen in art of many Asian cultures. It was until the Renaissance in Italy the concept of scientific perspective, known as linear perspective, developed. There are three kinds of perspective in art: geometrical, linear, and area perspective. Geometrical perspective drawing is useful for architectural and mechanical drawing. Area perspective is particularly used in art involving landscapes. Linear perspective is common in art with buildings or other structures. Area perspective is the visual effect of light when passing through an atmosphere. Features an object appears lighter and less detailed as they recede into the background. They also appear to lose color or saturation, fading into the background. Now we are going to discuss about basic perspective drawing technique. Perspective drawing is a set of technique used to draw a three-dimensional scene on a 2D dimensional flat surface. The basic perspective drawing techniques are linear perspective, overlapping, and modeling. Linear perspective, which we already done earlier. Objective. After learning about perspective, now we are going to discuss about what we mean by proportion and its importance in art and methods of proportion. Introduction. We should pay attention to the importance of proportion and their rules. These rules not only apply on figures, not only on shapes but also on tones. The more object distance from us, the smaller and the lighter proportions of tone we would see. Before going further, we should understand the meaning of word proportion. What is proportion? Proportion refers to one piece of an object in relation to the rest of object. In ancient Greek, mathematics sought the perfect proportional measurement. It became known as the golden means. Perhaps foremost in your mind will be the problem of drawing your subject in proportion, by which we mean that you will want to observe and record collectively the relative size among the parts of your subject and the relationships of the part to the whole, which can be seen in the drawing of Leonardo da Vinci, the Twin Man. It is through this we learn about proportion, that and how one area of the human body relates to the another relative to the laws of proportion. Proportion in art is the comparative harmonious relationship between one or two elements in a composition with respect to size, color, quantity, degree, setting, etc. Example ratio. A relationship is created when two or more elements are put together in a painting. It creates harmony, balance in a composition. This can be seen in this drawing. Methods of proportion. This chapter provides you with two kinds of devices that will enable you to better judge the proportion of the thing as you see them. Use of a viewfinder, which is used in art involving landscape and portraits. Measuring with your pencil. Measuring with your pencil will assist you in seeing the proportions of a particular shape. To measure with your pencil, look at the shape of your object you wish to draw and decide what is the longest and the shortest of its dimension or the axis. Then determine how many times the smaller dimension of the shape goes into its larger dimension by following the steps. This procedure may be used to compare any measurements in your drawing. The accuracy of the procedure depends on maintaining the pencil at a constant distance from your eyes, that is full arm length is advisable, and on keeping the pencil parallel to your imaginary pencil plane. Assignments. Now you should try to do some exercises like draw one side box, one square, going to one vanishing point. Now change the position of the vanishing point up and down, far or nearer, and watch how the shape of one box side will changes. Draw a two-side box, two squares, going to two vanishing points and apply as mentioned previously. Now draw stairs going towards a door. Although it sounds as it needed one vanishing point, but actually it needs two vanishing points. Now draw a large still life or a couple of live models in such a way as to use interplay of positive and negative spaces. Looking through your measuring pencil, you can scan your object until you find a good balance of positive and negative spaces. Do a series of quick studies that records the size, position and shapes of different objects. Summing up, perspective and proportion are one of the most important concepts in art. It is by implementing them we are able to create convincingly three-dimensional images to create the illusion of reality on a two-dimensional flat surface of a canvas or a paper. Now we are going to talk about some terminal quotients like what is perspective? What do you understand by perspective drawings? What is linear perspective? Define the different perspective drawing techniques. What is proportion? Why we use proportion in a work of art? What are the methods of using proportion in art? Glossary. Diminution. It's a visual illusion that object becomes smaller as they recede into space. Vanishing point is the point where the parallel lines meet as they recede into space. Eye level is an imaginary plane passing through the eye of the viewer when looking straight ahead. Proportion. It refers to one piece of an object in relation to the rest of objects. Now, I hope you must have enjoyed and understand properly the important concepts of perspective and proportion in a work of art. Thank you.